Yes, regarding sale and agreement to sale act, in that some conditions and warranties is there. Some conditions and warranties is there. They are implied conditions. షరతులు పూచీలు అని చెప్పి చెప్తారు. షరతులు పూచీలు. So what are the implied conditions? Conditions which the law incorporates into a contract of sale unless a contrary intention appears from the terms of the contract. It will be interesting to know that implied conditions are read into every contract of sale unless they are expressly excluded by the parties. షరతులు పూచలు అమ్మేటప్పుడు ఏమేమైతే మాట్లాడుకుంటారో వాటన్నిటి షరతులు అని చెప్పి చెప్తారు. షరతులు పూచీలు implied conditions and warranties and conditions. Thus both the parties are bound by the implied conditions. Both the parties are bound by the implied conditions. ఏవైతే షరతులు ఉంటాయో ఆ షరతులకు ఇరు పార్టీల వాళ్ళు ఒప్పుకుంటుంది. Bound by the implied conditions unless they are excluded by the express agreement of the parties. These may also be excluded by the course of dealings between the parties or by usage of trade. Following are the implied conditions which are contained in the Sales of Goods Act. The Sales of Goods Act, there are some conditions is there. There are some conditions is there. Number one, condition to has to title. Condition has to title. According to this condition, it is presumed that the seller has a valid title to the goods, that he has the right to sell the goods. If later on the buyer comes to know that the seller had no valid right to sell the goods, then he may reject the goods and claim the refund of the price. For this case, Ronald versus DL. Ronald versus DL. That's A bought a second-hand car from B. A bought a second-hand car from B. B, a car dealer. A few months, after a few months, after a few months, the car was taken by the police as it was stolen money. A was forced to return the car to the true owner. It was held that A could recover the full price from B. In this case, there was a breach of condition as to title, as B had no right to sell the car. This is the condition. Next, condition as to description. Condition as to description. Where the goods are sold by description, then there is an implied condition that the goods shall correspond with the description. The main idea is that the goods supplied must be same as are described by the seller. Sale of goods by description include many situations where the buyer has never seen the goods and buys them only on the basis of description given by the seller. Where the buyer has seen the goods but the buys them only one on the basis of description given by the seller, where the method of packing has been described. Next, third one, condition as to sample. Condition as to some. First one is condition as to title. Second one, condition as to description. Third one, condition as to sample. Condition as to sample, where the seller sells the goods by showing samples of goods to the buyer, and the buyer buys the goods basing on that sample. Then there is an implied condition that the goods shall correspond with the sample in quality. The following are the three implied conditions. Number one, the goods must correspond with the sample in quality. The buyer must have a reasonable opportunity of comparing the bulk with the sample. The goods must be free from any defect which renders them unmerchantable and which cannot identify by selling the sample. Such defects are called latent defects. Latent defects are discovered only when the goods are put to use. The seller cannot be held liable for visible defects, which could be easily discovered by an ordinary prudent person. Next, for this, Lorimer versus Smith, one case is there. In this case, A agreed to sell by sample two parcel of wheat to B, one containing 700 bushels and the other 1,400. The buyer was allowed to inspect the similar parcel but was refused inspection of the large one. It was held that the buyer was entitled to refuse to take any of the wheat. Next, fourth one. Condition as to sample was well as to description. Well as to description. If this sale is by sample as well as by description, the goods must correspond with the sample as well as the description. Nicole versus Gertz then agreed to sell to G some oil described as foreign refined rape oil, warranted only equal to sample N, delivered oil equal to the quality of samples, but which was not foreign refined rape oil. It was held that G could refuse to accept it. Next, another condition. Condition as to quality or fitness for buyer's purpose. Condition as to quality or fitness for buyer's purpose. There is no implied condition as to the quality or fitness for any particular purpose of goods supplied under a contract of sale. In other words, the buyer must satisfy himself about the quality as well as the suitability of the goods. This is expressed by the maximum COVID tempter. That means by కొనుగోలుదారుడు జాగ్రత్త వహించాలి. Let the buyer beware. Let the buyer beware. But in certain circumstances, the seller is required to supply the goods which will be fit for the buyer's purpose. In other words, if buyer makes his purpose clear to the seller and buys the goods relying upon the skill and judgment, then there is an implied condition that the goods shall be fit for the buyer's specific purpose, subject to the fulfillment of the following conditions. Number one, the buyer requires the goods for a particular purpose. Second one, the buyer should make known to the seller about the particular purpose. The buyer should rely on the seller's skill or judgment. The seller's business is to supply such goods whether he is the manufactured product or not. Circumstances under which conditions to fitness is applied. Next one, condition implied by custom. Conditions implied by custom. Condition to quality or fitness for a particular purpose may be annexed by the usage of trade. There may be certain customs and usages in certain trades. Such usages may create an exemption to the rule of quo temptor. Thus, the seller will have to take back the goods which were found to be unsuitable to the purpose of the buyer, even was not made known to the seller. These are the conditions in sale of goods act. ఇన్ సేల్ ఆఫ్ గూడ్స్ యాక్ట్ అమ్మకపు చట్టంలోనే ఈ ఎన్ని షరతులని కూడా జాగ్రత్తగా చూసుకొని అప్పుడు ఆ షరతులు ప్రభుత్వం పాటిస్తే ఎవరికి నష్టం అనేది ఉండదు. నెక్స్ట్, ఇంప్లాయిడ్ వారంటీస్ పూచీలు. ఇంప్లాయిడ్ వారంటీస్ పూచీలు అంటే implied warranties are those which the law presumes to have been incorporated in the contract of sale, in spite of the fact that the parties have not expressly included them in a contract of sale. Subject to the contract to the contrary, the following of sale. అంటే ద ఫాలోయింగ్ ఆర్ ద ఇంప్లాయిడ్ వారంటీస్. ఆటోమేటిక్గా వారంటీస్ వచ్చేస్తాయి, పర్టికులర్ రాసుకునే పని లేకుండా. సో నెంబర్ వన్, వారంటీ యాజ్ టు క్వైట్ పొజిషన్. Warranty as to quiet possession. According to this warranty, it is presumed that the buyer shall have and enjoy the quiet possession of the goods. This means that where the buyer has obtained the possession of the goods, he has a right to enjoy them in a way he likes. That is, no one should interfere with the quiet enjoyment of the buyer. If buyer right of possession and enjoyment is disturbed by anyone having a superior title of the goods, then the buyer can recover damages from the seller through court of law. To some extent, the implied condition as to title and this warranty are overlapping. For this, Nation versus Birmingham. A purchased a second-hand typewriter from B. అనేవాడు B అనే సెకండ్ హ్యాండ్ టైప్రైటర్ కొన్నాడు. A used it for some time and also spent some money on its repairs. The typewriter turned out to be stolen one, and as such, A had to return it to the true owner. It was held that A could recover damages from B, amounting to the price and the cost of repair. The typewriter turned out to be stolen. సో అవి దొంగలించబడిన టైప్ రైటర్ అని చెప్పి తెలిసింది. అండ్ యాజ్ సచ్ ఏ హ్యాడ్ టు రిటర్న్ టు ది ఓనర్, దాన్ని వెనక్కి ఇచ్చేసినాడు, వద్దప్ప నాకు టైప్ అని. ఇట్ వాజ్ హెల్డ్ దట్ ఏ కుడ్ రికవర్ డ్యామేజెస్ ఫ్రమ్ బి అమౌంటింగ్ టు ద ప్రైస్ అండ్ ద కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ రిపేర్. నెక్స్ట్, వారంటీ యాజ్ టు free from encumbrance. Warranty as to free from encumbrance. According to this warranty, it is presumed that the goods shall be free from any charge or encumbrance in favor of any third person. If the possession of the buyer is disturbed due to such charge in favor of third party, he can claim damages from the seller. Next, third one, warranty to disclose the dangerous nature of goods. Dangerousness of goods disclose. In case of goods nature, the seller must disclose or warn the buyer of the probable danger. If the seller fails to do so, the buyer may make him liable for breach of implied warranty. Next, fourth one, implied warranty annexed by usage of trade. A warranty as to fitness for a particular purpose may be annexed to a contract of sale by custom or usage of trade. The above said implied warranties may be excluded either by an express agreement by the course of dealings between the parties or by usage of trade. So these are the conditions and warranties. What are the differences between these two? What are the differences between these two? So meaning of condition. Meaning of condition means a condition in a contract of sale is a stipulation of fundamental nature. It is regarded as the very basis of the contract. If there is a breach of condition, the aggrieved party has a right to treat the contract as repudiated and refuse to accept the goods. He can also claim damages. Definition of another condition. A stipulation essential to the main purpose of the contract, the breach of which gives rise to a right to treat the contract as reputed. Meaning of warranty. A warranty is subsidiary to the main purpose of the contract. It is not so vital to the existence of the contract as a condition. It is not regarded as the very basis of the contract. If there is a breach of warranty, the aggrieved party has no right to treat the contract as repudiated. He can only claim damages for any loss which may arise. Difference between conditions and warranties. So there are some differences between conditions and warranties. Number one, importance. A condition is very essential, the main purpose of the contract of sale. It is of a fundamental nature. Regarding warranty, a warranty is collateral or secondary to the main purpose of the contract. It is of a subsidiary of inferior character. Inferior character. Second one, rights in case of breach. On breach of condition, contract may be repudiated or avoided. Damages also can be claimed. On breach of contract warranty, contract cannot be repudiated. Only damages can be claimed. Third one, rejection of goods. On breach of condition, buyer may reject the goods. On breach of warranty, buyer cannot reject the goods. Performance of contract. In breach of condition, aggrieved party is not bound to perform the contract. In breach of warranty, aggrieved party is not bound to perform the contract. Treatment. The buyer may treat the breach of condition as breach of warranty only. Regarding warranties, a breach of warranty cannot be treated as breach of condition by the buyer. These are the differences between conditions and warranties. These are the differences between conditions and warranties. ప్రతులు పూచీలు ప్రతి సేల్ ఆఫ్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ యాక్ట్లో అవన్నీ జాగ్రత్తగా చూసుకోవాలి మనం. కండిషన్స్ వారంటీస్ ఎవరికి లేకపోయినా అనుకోండి, అప్పుడు చాలా కష్టపడి ఇబ్బంది పడే అవకాశం కూడా ఉంటుంది. దీస్ ఆర్ ద డిఫరెన్సెస్ బిట్వీన్ కండిషన్స్ అండ్ వారంటీస్. నెక్స్ట్, అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్. నెక్స్ట్ పాయింట్ వచ్చేసి అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్. అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ ఆర్ వెండర్ కూడా అనొచ్చు. చెల్లింపు జరిగిన అమ్మకందారుడు. చెల్లింపు జరిగిన అమ్మకందారుడు. అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ ఆర్ వెండర్ అంటే వాడు అమ్మకందారుడు సరుకులు అమ్మేసినాడు అవతల పార్టీకి, కానీ ఆ కొనుగోలుదారు నుంచి ఇతను డబ్బు రాలేదు, సరుకులు ఏం పోయినాయి, డబ్బు రాలేదు. సో అటువంటి పర్సన్ ఏమంటాము, అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్. అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ చెల్లింపజేయని అమ్మకందారుడు అని చెప్తారు. మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్. Unpaid seller means a seller who has not been paid the whole of the price of the goods sold for. సో అమ్మిన సరుకులో నుంచి మనకి ఏమాత్రం డబ్బులు రాలేదు, అటువంటి వాడిని అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్. అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ మీన్స్ ద హోల్ ఆఫ్ ద ప్రైస్ ఆఫ్ ద గూడ్స్ సోల్డ్ ఫార్, who has not been paid, who has not been paid the whole of the price of the goods sold for, or who has received a bill of exchange or any negotiable instrument as a conditional payment but which is subsequently dishonored. సో ఒక అమ్మకందారుడు ఒక కొనుగోలుదారుడు సరుకులు కొనుగోలు చేసేసి అందుకు అనుగుణంగా డబ్బు ఇవ్వకోకుండా బిల్ రాసి ఇచ్చేసినాడు. సో ఆ వెండర్ హీ రిసీవ్డ్ ద బిల్స్ రిసీవబుల్. సో ఇన్ దట్ ద బిల్ వాజ్ మెచ్యూర్డ్ ఆఫ్టర్ 3 months. So after 3 months, the bill was dishonored. That means there is no amount. The buyer cannot pay it. So then he can also call unpaid seller అని చెప్తాం. 3 నెలల తర్వాత ఒక బిల్లు రాసి ఇచ్చినాడు, 3 నెలల తర్వాత సొమ్ము చెల్లిస్తానని చెప్పినాడు. 3 నెలల తర్వాత ఆ అమ్మకందారుడు కొనుగోలుదారు దగ్గరికి బిల్లు సమర్పిస్తే అతను సొమ్ము చెల్లించిన స్థితిలో ఉన్నా అని చెప్పేసి దాన్ని డిజానర్ ఆఫ్ ద బిల్ అంటాం. సో అటువంటి పర్సన్ సరుకులు ఏమో అమ్ముడుపోయినాయి కానీ డబ్బు రాలేదు, అటువంటి పర్సన్ ఏమంటాము, అన్పెయిడ్ వెండర్. అన్పెయిడ్ వెండర్ ఆర్ అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ who has not been paid the whole of the price of the goods sold, who has received a bill of exchange or any other negotiable instrument as a conditional payment but which is subsequently dishonored. So then he can be called as unpaid seller, unpaid vendor అని చెప్తారు. In other words, a seller is an unpaid seller if the full price has not been paid. A seller who has received only a part of the price is also an unpaid seller. మొత్తం సొమ్ము కాకుండా కొంత సొమ్ము మాత్రం చెల్లించి ఇంకా మిగతా సొమ్ము బాగుంది అన్నా కూడా అటువంటి వ్యక్తిగానే అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ అంటాం. However, a seller is not an unpaid seller if the buyer has tendered the price and the seller has refused to accept it. However, a seller is not an unpaid seller if the buyer has tendered the price and the seller has refused to accept it. సో కొనుగోలుదారుడు ఏదైనా కొన్ని విషయాలు డబ్బు ఇచ్చేకపోయినా కూడా కొన్ని సందర్భాల్లో అమ్మకందారుడు దాన్ని తీసుకోడు, అటువంటిప్పుడు కూడా మనం అన్పెయిడ్ సెల్లర్ అని చెప్పి చెప్తాం. ద టర్మ్ సెల్లర్ ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్ విల్ ఇన్క్లూడ్ ఎవ్రీ పర్సన్ ఇన్ ద పొజిషన్ ఆఫ్ ఎ సెల్లర్. ఎగ్జాంపుల్, an agent of the seller to whom the bill of lading has been endorsed, or consignor or agent who has himself paid or is directly responsible for the price. Example, A purchases some goods in his personal name on behalf of his principal B. B refuses to pay the price of the goods. Since A has incurred personal liability, the relationship between him and his principal will be taken as that of a seller and a buyer. A will be taken unpaid seller under the provisions of section 45. For this, Hiralal Chemandlal versus Prahaladi and Company. Next, rights of unpaid seller. What are the rights of unpaid seller means? There are some rights of unpaid sellers. Rights of unpaid seller before passing ownership rights. If the buyer fails to pay the price, the unpaid seller can exercise the right of which withholding the delivery of the goods. The unpaid seller may refuse to deliver the goods to the buyer. The seller will not liable for damages for non-delivery until the price is paid. This right is similar to and coexistency with the right. The lien stopping in transit. Rights of unpaid seller after passing ownership of rights. He can exercise the following rights: right of lien, stoppage in transit, right of resale. సరుకులు అమ్మకం చేసిన తర్వాత ఆ అమ్మకందారునికి ఆ వస్తువుల సొమ్ము రాలేదు, అటువంటిప్పుడు అందుకి ఆ సొమ్ము వచ్చేంత వరకు కింద హక్కులు కలిగి ఉంటాడు. ఏమంటాము, రైట్ ఆఫ్ లీన్ ఉంటుందంట, స్టాపేజ్ ఇన్ ట్రాన్సిట్, రైట్ ఆఫ్ రీసేల్. Right of lien, it is the right to retain the possession of the goods which are under his actual possession until the full payment of the price is made to him or the price is offered to him. Condition: the following conditions are to be satisfied to exercise right of lien. The unpaid seller must be in actual possession The unpaid seller must be in actual possession of the goods sold. Once the possession is lost, the lien is also lost. The unpaid seller can retain the goods only for the payment of the price of the goods. He cannot retain the goods for any other charges. That is for storage of goods, maintenance, etc. As a matter of fact, this right is linked with the possession of the goods and not with the right of the goods. He can exercise this right even if the is possessing the goods as an agent or bailey for the buyer. Legal rules to exercise the right of lien. Where the goods are sold without any stipulation as to credit. Where the goods are sold on a credit but the term of credit has expired. Where the buyer becomes insolvent. Where the unpaid seller has delivered a part of the goods, he may exercise his lien on the remaining part of the goods except when such party delivery has been made under the circumstances as to show an agreement to waive the lien. In other words, where delivery of part of goods is intended as delivery of the whole, the right of lien is lost. The right lien is indivisible in nature, and the seller cannot be compelled to deliver a part of the goods on payment of proportionate price of the goods. Proportionate price of the goods. Next one. Termination of lien or loss of lien. Termination of lien or loss of lien. By delivery of goods to the carrier, the unpaid seller loses his right of lien over the goods when the goods are delivered to some person for the purpose of transmission to the buyer. However, if the seller reserves his right to disposal of the lien is not lost. Second, by delivery of goods to the buyer, the unpaid seller also loses his lien when he delivers the goods to the buyer or his agent. However, if after obtaining the lawful possession, the goods are delivered back to the seller for some specific purpose, repairs, etc., the seller's lien does not revive that he cannot exercise his lien again. By waiver of the lien, by tender of price by the buyer, by the tender of price by the buyer. When the buyer tenders the seller loses his right of lien as he cases to be unpaid seller. A decrease for the price being passed by the court alone will not destroy lien until it is satisfied by payment of the amount due. Next stage. Right to stoppage in transit. Right to stoppage in transit. So unpaid seller has a right when he did not receive the money for selling the goods. He has a right to stoppage the goods in transit. తనకు అమ్మకందారునికి తన సరుకులు అమ్మి మనకు డబ్బు రాకపోతే అటువంటి రానటువంటి సరుకులు ఇంకా రావు అని తెలిస్తే అటువంటి గూడ్స్ను రవాణాలో నిలిపివేసే హక్కు ఈ అమ్మకందారునికి ఉంటుంది. రైట్ టు స్టాపేజ్ ఇన్ ట్రాన్సిట్. It means the stopping of the goods while they are in the course of transit, that is in the course of transmission to the buyer. We have already discussed where the unpaid seller has parted to the possession of the goods, then the lien is lost. But in certain circumstances, he can stop the goods in transit and prevent them from reaching into the buyer's possession until the price is paid. According to Section 50, in other words, where the unpaid seller has parted with the possession of the goods, he can stop the goods in transit until the price is paid or returned tendered to him. Condition. The following conditions are to be satisfied to exercise this right. ఆ రైట్ని ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేయడానికి ఈ కండిషన్స్ అన్ని చేసుకోవాలి. Seller has parted with the possession of the goods. The buyer has become insolvent. The goods are in the course of transit. The unpaid seller can stop the goods in transit only for the payment of the price of the goods. Next, duration of transit. The duration of transit is the period between the commencement and end of transit. The transit commences from the time when the goods are delivered to the middleman, and it continues Till the buyer on his agent takes the delivery of the goods. Next, termination of stoppage in transit. Termination of transit. Interruption by the buyer. Interruption by the buyer. Next, carries acknowledgement to the buyer. Acknowledgement to the buyer. Next, carries wrongful refusal to deliver the goods to the buyer. These are the rights of unpaid seller. Rights of unpaid seller. Okay. So next one, action of sales. Action sales. What is the meaning of action sales? Action sales అంటే ఏమి? యాక్షన్ సేల్ మీన్స్ ఏ పబ్లిక్ సేల్. పబ్లిక్లు కూడా వేలం వేస్తారు కదా, దాన్ని యాక్షన్ ఆఫ్ సేల్ అని చెప్పి చెప్పి పబ్లిక్గా కొన్ని వస్తువులు అమ్మేస్తుంటారు. నార్మల్లీ ఇన్ అన్ యాక్షన్ ఆఫ్ సేల్ ద గ్రాస్ ద గూడ్స్ ఆర్ సోల్డ్ ఆన్ బిహాఫ్ ఆఫ్ ద ఓనర్ బై అన్ యాక్షనర్. ఓనర్ యొక్క వస్తువులు ఒక యాక్షన్ ఒక వ్యక్తి చేతి దగ్గర అమ్మబడతాయి. దాన్ని యాక్షన్ అతను అమ్మేటువంటి వ్యక్తిని ఏమంటారు? యాక్షనర్ అని చెప్పి చెప్తారు. ద యాక్షనర్ గివ్స్ వైడ్ పబ్లిసిటీ ఫర్ ద సేల్ ఆఫ్ గూడ్స్ బై అన్ యాక్షన్ అండ్ ఫిక్సెస్ ద టైమ్ అండ్ ప్రైస్ ఫర్ ఇట్. The intending buyer knows the bidders can inspect the goods during the time fixed by an auctioneer before or at the time of sale. In an auction, sale of goods are sold to the highest bidder. It may be noted that an advertisement to sell the goods by auction is simply an invitation to the public to make offers and not an offer to sell. That is why the intending buyer have no right to sue the auctioneer if auctioneer cancels or postpones the sale by action. The sale by action. There can be some condition attached to the action of sale, or the same can be unconditional. But where it is unconditional, then by virtue of the goods being specific and in deliberate state, the property in the goods knocked down passes at the fall humori by reason of the concerned provisions relating to the passing of the property. For this action of sale, there are some rules. Number one, completion of action sale. Completion of action sale. Goods put up for sale in loss. Retraction of bid. Transfer of ownership. Seller's right to bid. Next one, fraudulent sale. Next, action sale with reserve or an upset price. These are the rules for action of sales. These are the rules for action of sales. Okay.